I honestly do not understand why France is so bent on holding grip of so many countries in Africa. Is it that the countries cannot break free, or they are just the ones who are so dependent, or they just want to the Bank of France? Like, I don't understand. Like, this lady here want to explain more, but let's say something. Renewal Morema reports on a detailed explanation of how these European countries perpetuate modern-day slavery in Africa while they enrich themselves with Africans' investment in their central banks. We revealed how West Africans' investment in France central banks kept the economy of France afloat while the economy crumbled. Today, this European country have the nerve to say Africa is poor when they are the main reason for it. Guys, you remember I said something when Tinubu went to France. You guys remembered I said something about this whole France wahala. I said a lot of things. I'm like, what is he going there to do? Other people are cutting ties with him. Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, they are all cutting ties with these people. And I felt it was a comeback kind of thing. I felt that the president of France was just doing that, inviting our Tinubu just so that he will get back at those people who have told him to go to hell, kind of. You see, you cannot sit down and use Africans' wealth to enrich yourself and then wake up to tell Africans that they are poor. It's disrespectful, and it's a height of disrespect. And you know very well that just Nigeria alone, we know how much natural resources they take from each African country. And because the people in Niger, the people in Burkina Faso, the people in Mali have told them we don't want. I think Senegal recently joined. They said they don't want any aid from anybody. And then this man the president decided to, welcome Nigeria's president. But let us listen to what this woman had to say.
85% of their bank reserves back then with the French Central Bank under the control of the French Minister of Finance.
Wow.
And should those countries wish to request some of those monies, because remember they were only left with 15% of their reserves.
Wow.
Then they would have to submit a financial statement for the country.
Wow.
And if approved, they could only access up to 20% of
imagine?
whatever they had deposited the year before
Wow.
as a loan at commercial interest rates. The only difference now is the 85% deposits have now been lowered down to maybe between 50 and 60%.
Why?
But the countries are still forced and required to deposit their bank reserves with the French Central Bank. So picture this situation. You are depositing all your monies with France. Should you need some of your money,
they give you 50%.
You get it as a loan at commercial interest rates. So immediately, you have a credit with France, but you begin to owe France. This has been going on and continues to this day. So combined, the 14 countries are giving to France cash, cold hard cash, over $500 billion every year.
Every year. And then they now loan them the money back.
And invest it in its own stock market
Jesus.
under the French name. The countries may or may not know the returns. Currently, for every 14 billion that France takes out of Africa, by the time they finish investing it in the French stock market, they are realizing upwards of 300 billion.
You can imagine.
So you do the math to see how much money France
they are
is
making
out of
so
Africa
much money from Africa.
And France has the audacity to then look at African countries and call
say
them
they are
poor
poor.
countries. Why would poor African countries give $500 billion to
Jesus.
France year in and year out? What really gets me the most is, how does the world sit back
and
watch
say
this
nothing
carnage take
and say
place in
nothing?
Africa? Where is the United Nations?
Yes.
This is the body that's supposed to be looking out for any violations
Yes.
of human rights.
Yes.
It is my humble opinion that singularly, what France is doing to Africa is the biggest violation of human rights.
Honestly, it is. I can never understand this rationale, the rationale behind all this, Cameroon and some other countries like that. Send money to France. Then when they want to borrow, then they want to collect the money. They keep only 15%. When they want to borrow the money, collect the money from France Central Bank, they will now go there and they will collect it as a loan. And that loan has accumulated with so much interest already. Hey! Wonders they say shall never end. And this is the same person that Tinubu is taking very close to his heart. He's going there to ask them for loan. Now Nasabio, because I don't understand why people say, "Oh, France is giving foreign aid." Now I understand why the Mali, the Niger president sent the UN people away, because it doesn't make sense that people for over how many decades have been sending their own proceeds to you, 85%, and then you use it to make money invested in your own France stock market, and you are supposed to make the money to be equal with the euro, and that has never happened. At the end of the day, they still go back to lighting candle while you use solar panels in your house. I'm just using that as an example. What is wrong with Africa? Why is the UN not doing anything about this to bring equality, to make something that just doesn't? Why? And now you find out that some Cameroonians are so upset with these people who colonized them, and you are wondering why. It is because I don't even know why they've not broken free from these people that colonized them. I don't just know exactly why. Then you call Africans poor. Meanwhile, you're the ones that made them to remain in abject poverty. This is really sad. And you know one thing about borrowing? If you keep borrowing, you keep remaining in poverty, you will not develop. And yet, it's your natural resources these people take to their place. Cocoa is found in Africa. But you see all these people, you go to shops in the UK, they have a lot of chocolate. Where are they getting this chocolate from? Where are they getting the raw materials from? It's from Africa. You go to America, the same thing. Where are they getting it from? You go to France, you go to Paris, the same thing. Where are they getting these natural resources from? Everything comes from Africa. And it beats my imagination why we are so wealthy with natural resources, yet we are poor and beggarly. Now, we call ourselves poor because we're compared to them, their economy. Yes, we could say that. But who is making these African countries poor? The same people who call them poor, because they enrich themselves and then give these people loan back. This explains, it's a detailed explanation of how France was and is ripping West Africa off, and the UN is not saying anything about it. The UN is condoning all that they are doing. How do you give somebody somebody gives you their money, you now loan it to them, and now the interest rate? I don't know if they discuss it, like she mentioned, whether they know the interest rate or not, but they are the ones keeping the interest and still borrowing the money. So these African countries, right? It's really sad. It's really, really a sad one, I must say. It's very sad. All I will just say in all of this is that France is ripping us off. They should stop them. We have come, see, we are no longer in the colonial era. We are no longer in those days where we did not know what was going on. Right now, we can see, we can talk, we can express ourselves, we can manage our resources ourselves. Nobody needs to send money to France. Nobody needs to send money to France. Every country that is sending money to France in Africa should stop it. They should find a way to stop this madness. This is not just modern day slavery, but robbery. Like daylight robbery. Because slavery is when you put people in one place and say they cannot move. It's like, but in this case, it's money that is involved. Then you are robbing these people. And it's unfair. I don't understand why presidents, no wonder, year in, year out, every tenure in every African country, they are very interested in the election. They pump in money to give those people to do election, to do campaigns, because they know very well that when they do this campaign, they are going to get a lot of, influence in this particular countries. And African leaders need to sit up. They need to sit up and look inward. What's going on? I remember when this other African countries left ECOWAS, people thought, it has never been done. You can leave France, for Christ's sake. Something that's never been done has to start. You can start it. So, most times when I listen to these things about Africa, I cry for Africa, because Africa is so blessed, super blessed, that we don't even need France. We don't need all these, Western people to help us do anything. We don't need all of those things. We don't need those support. We can support ourselves. We are not handicapped. We are hardworking. And that is why the funny thing is that you see that any payment platform, Africa is always getting less than the white. Why?